Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we will solve another LeetCode problem step by step so you can strengthen your coding skills and ace any interviews in which this type of question are very popular. So you will be able to ace the interviews as well. So today we are going to talk about a very tricky LeetCode problem, which is smallest range 2. You can search it in LeetCode. It's free, really available. So in this problem, basically we have an array and an integer k as an input. We have to we can either increase each element of the array by k or decrease it by k. And after doing that, we will have a final array, and we have to do this in such a manner that we would be able to minimize the difference between the maximum and the minimum element in the array. And we have to return the minimum score of that value, which will be the output. And we have 3 example test cases for that available. In first example test cases, we have only one value, which is 1. So either we increase it or decrease it, the difference is going to be the same, which is 0. Now, there's for sample test case 2, we have 2 elements in an array, which is 0 and 10, and we have the value of k as 2. So what we can do is if we increase the value 0 to 2 and decrease the 10 to subtract it by 2, we will get the final array as 2 and 8. Then we will have the minimum and the maximum sum difference value is 6. Now in the example 3, we have 1, 3, and 6. If we decrease 1 and 3, we increase 1 and 3 by 3 and decrease 6 by 3, we will have final array as 4, 6, and 3. And the difference is going to be, in this case, is 6 minus 3, which is 3. So these are the 3 example test cases. And based on this, we have to write a code so that it would be able to find the difference between the maximum and the minimum value in the least possible iterations, or the best possible solution. So how are we going to do that? Before that, let's think about the logic, that how we are going to do that before I start jumping into the code. So here is the logic that we can apply for this question. First, what we are going to do is we are going to sort out the array in the increasing order, so that if the array is sorted, array can be sorted or cannot be. So first of all, we are going to sort the array. So the time complexity would be O of n log n for sorting the array. Now, once we have the array sorted, then what we are going to do, we are going to iterate from I equal to 0 to maximum value, maximum length of the array. And at each iteration, we are going to break the array into 2 parts. And for the left part, we are going to increase the left part of the array by k. And for the right part, we are going to decrease the right part of the array by k. So at each breakpoint, we are going to have these 2 arrays. The left part is increased by k, the right part is decreased by k. We are doing this because we want to minimize the value of maximum and the minimum difference. So in this case, as you can see, it's going to shift like this, so that the difference between the maximum and the minimum would be, we would be able to minimize the difference between the maximum and the minimum in this case. So we are going to do this for each of, but by breaking the array at each iteration, so that we would, and for each case, we would be minimizing the minimum score. So when we are breaking the array into 2 parts, we will be having 4 endpoints now. As you can see, the first 2 for this part of the array, and those 2 are for this part of the array. Now, obviously, we are going to get the minimum value by minimizing this point and this point, because this point are the minimum, are around the minimum range. So the minimum value is going to be the minimum of these 2 values, and the maximum value is going to be the maximum of these 2 values. So this is the thought process that we are going to apply for solving this question. And we are going to minimize the minimum value that we have till this iteration, and the difference between the maximum, the high and the low value, which we got from here. Okay, so this is basically the logic which I'm going to apply while for solving this question. Now let's straight dive into the solution. So first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to just initialize this initialize n as the size of the array, and initialize a variable int variable high and low. Now, of course, if the size of the array is just 1, in that case, we are directly going to return 0. as because if the size is 1, no matter if we increase or decrease, the value is going to be remain the same, and we are just going to get the value as 0. So this is what we are going to, and we will end that function right straight away. If the size is not 1, then in that case, we will use our logic that we just discussed. So what we are going to do is just first sort out the array from the beginning to end in an ascending order. And using this code, we can sort it out. Now, we have to first initialize the initial range, initial maximum and minimum value, which would be just the maximum and just the difference between the first value and the last value. Now, we have to, this initial range is going to be our minimum score as of now, without increasing or decreasing any value by k or by doing any operations with k. Now we are going to do the operations like breaking the loop at each iteration and then shifting the to array and then finding the minimum max and maximum value. For that part, we are going to use a for loop. In that for loop, we are going to start that iteration from I equal to 0, and we are going to take that iteration till n less when I is less than n minus 1. Why we did that? Why we choose n minus 1? Because we can just break just before the final value. So this is what we are going to do. Now, to minimize the score, we're considering these steps that we already discussed, which is first minimize the score considering dividing the array at each points possibly. Then what we are going to, all the elements to the left are going to increase by k, and right are going to decrease by k, as we already discussed here in this diagram. So basically, this is the logic that we are going to apply now inside the for loop. And at the end of each logic, we are just going to update our minimum score. All right, let's write a code for that. First of all, we have to update the value of high, which is the maximum of last value minus 1 plus current value plus k. So basically what we are doing is just the maximum of these two values. As you can see here, this is just that. Now in the similar manner, we are going to update the low value as well using this code. And this is just the same that I've written here. So the minimum of these two values are just, which is the first element and the first element after breaking the array. So increasing it and decreasing it, just this is what I've written here. It's pretty much straightforward. Now we just have to update our minimum score. And we can do that by this part of the code. I hope that making sense. And now we just have to, and this is the end of the code. We just now have to return the minimum score using this code. And this is done. Let's run all the test cases and see the results. There in line 26, there is a, oh, sorry, there I have written that twice. So there's a little bit of typo error. That's all right. Yeah, all the test cases passed. So this is how we can take on this question is pretty much it's just a bit tricky, but it's the, if we take the right steps, then it's very easy and comfortable question. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment with your thoughts or questions. Keep coding. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.